Hello, listeners and viewers. Hello, listeners and viewers.
Rising Above Shadows of Abuse.
Welcome to
Razar.
Rising
I'm
Above
your
Shadows
host,
of
Grace
Abuse.
Ovba. Razar.
I'm your
It's
host,
nice to
Grace
have you
Ovba.
here again today.
It's nice to have you here
And
again
this is
today.
a platform
And this is
whereby we
a
showcase
platform
subject matters
whereby we
relating to
showcase
abuse,
trauma,
subject matters relating
mental
to
health,
abuse,
society, and culture.
trauma, and it's a place where
Mental
we
health,
help you use
society, and culture.
strategies to step
And it's
into
a
a
place
life
where
of
you can use
healing and
strategies
purpose. Today, I
We
have
help you
the
use strategies
adorable
and
to
charming
step into a life of healing and
Ginger
purpose.
Crystal Faith.
Today, I have the
Welcome, Ginger.
adorable.
It's
and
nice to have
charming
you here today. Ginger
Thank you
Faith.
for having me. This is a really important subject, and I'm
Ginger
glad that you invited
Crystal
me on.
Faith.
You're
Welcome,
welcome.
Ginger.
So,
It's nice to have you here
I'm going
today.
to start the ball rolling by
Thank you
asking
for
the
having me.
question,
This is a really
who
important
is
subject, and I'm glad that
Ginger?
you invited me on.
Oh, you're
Before
welcome.
we get into that question, let me do a bit of
I'm going to start the
introduction.
ball rolling by asking the
Ginger
question,
Crystal
who
Faith
is
helps
Ginger?
women build wealth.
Oh,
Yeah,
first,
that's
before we get
Intelligent
into that
real
question,
estate
let me do a bit of
investing. She's been an
introduction.
investor for 30 years.
She's the
Ginger
CEO of
Crystal
Global
Faith helps women build
Canyon
wealth
Properties
through
and has flipped
intelligent
over
real
52
estate
houses,
investing. She's been an
two of
investor
which
for
were
30
featured
years.
on She's the CEO of Global
and Airbnb
Canyon
superhost,
Properties
landlady
and has
banker.
flipped over 52
She's
houses,
the founder of Your Wealth
two of which
Network
were featured on
in San Francisco Bay
HGTV,
Area, and
as seen
Airbnb
on Fox,
superhost,
CBS,
landlady banker.
NBC,
She's the founder of Your
and
Wealth Network
Yahoo
in San
Finance.
Francisco Bay Area.
Wow,
As seen
that is
on
really
Fox,
amazing, Ginger.
CBS.
Welcome on the show. NBC.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I
And
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yahoo
So
Finance.
I'm going to start the ball rolling by asking the question:
that
who is Ginger
really
Crystal
amazing,
Faith?
Ginger. Welcome on the show.
That's such a complex
Thank
question,
you.
right?
Thank
If
you
we
for the
ask
introduction. I
ourselves,
appreciate
any
it.
one of ourselves,
You're
who are
welcome.
we? We're
So
very
I'm going to
complex,
start the ball rolling by asking
multidimensional
the question:
human
who
beings
is Ginger
with
Crystal
light and
Faith?
dark tendencies, and with
That's such a complex
multiple
question, right? If we ask
aspects of our
ourselves,
personality,
any one of ourselves, who are we?
essentially, I
We're
believe
very complex.
your question
Multidimensional
is so
human
important
beings
because we all have to think
with
of our
light and
identity.
dark tendencies.
The subject to
with,
rise above the shadows of
multiple
abuse has
aspects
to do with who
of
we
our
really
personality.
are. Essentially,
And if we believe
I
that
believe
we're
your question
valuable,
is so important because we all have
that
to
we're
think of our
children of
identity.
something divine,
The subject to rise above the
divine,
shadows of abuse
then
has to
we
do
are going
with
to have a much easier
who we
time
really
rising
are.
above
And
conquering
if we
and
believe
thriving
that
and not just
we're
surviving,
valuable, so to answer your question,
that we're
I believe
children
I'm a
of
divine child
something
of God,
divine,
that have been very blessed.
if we're children of the divine,
That
then we are going to
have
have a much
purpose,
easier time
that I'm
rising
actually
above
one of the many
and conquering
angels on the
and
planet,
thriving
the human angels,
and not just surviving.
and my purpose is
So to answer your
spread
question,
beauty
I believe I'm a divine
and
child
love
of God,
and wealth that have been very blessed.
and mixture with
That
pragmatism
I
and a
have
bit of common
purpose,
sense. That I'm actually
here
one of the
to
many
heal my own
angels
life
on the planet,
and
the
rise
human
above
angels,
my past,
and my
and
purpose is
speak to
to
my
spread
calling,
beauty,
not my
and
love and wealth,
past, and
to continue to rise
mixture
toward my
with
calling
pragmatism
and let the past
and a bit of
go.
common sense.
The past was just
I'm here
a challenge and an
to heal my
incubator
own life
and
to
rise above
make
my
me
past
stronger and speak
Wow.
to my calling, not my
That is really deep. That's profound. And that can
past.
only be
To
expressed
continue to
by the
rise toward
divine
my calling
using
and
you
let
to
the
speak the
past
words.
go. The past was just
Thank you.
a challenge and an incubator
So
to make me
I'm going
stronger.
to ask another question.
Wow. So,
And this is relating to women. That is really deep.
how does a
That's
woman
profound.
start
And that can
afresh
only be
after an abusive relationship
expressed by the divine
and
using
retire
you to speak the words
affluent
or
Thank you.
friendly, especially if she has children that she needs to cater for.
I'm going to ask another question.
Well, I don't
And
have
this is
children, so I can
relating to
speak
women.
limited.
How
Right.
does
So
a
I have
woman
my
start
limitations because I don't have
afresh
children. And that was an
after
easier
an
path for me
abusive
because of that.
relationship
Right. However,
and retire
start with your identity.
Affluent and
I
retire
believe
affluent or
that learning
affluently
squirreling up some
especially if
time
she's
for
had
yourself would be
children
critical.
that she needs to
So even though
cater
I don't
for.
have children, I have a lot of demands on me, but
Well, I don't
every
have
day
children,
I
so I can
squirrel out
speak way
limited 10, 15
so I have
minutes
my
for
limit,
prayer,
my limitations, so I
meditation,
don't have children.
affirmation,
And that was an
reading.
easier path for me because
Read
of
the
that,
best
right?
books that will help
However,
you. Now, if you've overcome an abusive situation and you've extricated
start with your
yourself,
identity.
you need to be congratulated. Start
Okay,
with,
so give
I
yourself a
believe
pat on the back
that
every single
learning,
day, because that's not easy
squirreling up some
at
time
all
for yourself would
on
be
any
critical.
level.
So even though I
I've
don't have children, I have a lot of
from
demands
toxic
on
situations.
me, but every day I
very
squirrel out
much,
way and
it's
10,
not
15
easy,
minutes
because
for
there's a
prayer,
draw,
meditation,
a
affirmation,
familiarity,
reading, and a downward
read the
pull
best
until you
books
get
that will
into
help
orbit.
you.
Now, if
It takes a
you've
while.
overcome an
So,
abusive situation and you've extricated yourself,
you've
you need to
overcome
be congratulated.
the abusive relationship, at
Okay,
least
so
you've
give yourself a pat
extricated
on the
yourself
back. You need
every
to give
single
yourself
day,
some
because
space,
that's
but
not
also
easy
start
at all.
bringing in on any level
Positive,
okay, I've
vibration,
extricated myself from
positive
toxic
energy.
situations.
There's
Very
a
much,
beautiful quote
and
in
it's
the
not
book,
easy.
Think and Grow
Because
Rich,
there's a
by
draw
Napoleon Hill,
and
and
it
it
basically
basically
says
familiarity
everything that's there
and a
out in the
downward
ether.
pull,
Good, bad,
until you get
evil,
into orbit.
beautiful. It's all
It takes
there.
a while.
Where are we
So,
going to focus our energy? If you've
the biggest
overcome
challenge, of course,
the
is
abusive
to
relationship,
pull
at
the
least
downward
you've
pull,
extricated yourself, you need to
right?
give yourself
So
some
it's a
space,
challenge,
but
to
also
grow up in a
start
toxic
bringing
environment.
in, and I didn't know anything
Positive
better.
vibration,
Was extremely
painful
painful
all the time.
energy. But I
There's
didn't
a
know any better.
beautiful
But
quote in the book,
in the
Think and Grow
universe of
Rich, by
possibilities,
Napoleon Hill,
there's
and it
beauty,
basically says
and
everything
there's
that's there
healing
out in the ether,
and
there's
good, bad,
people
evil,
who are
beautiful.
kind,
It's all there.
and they're not toxic.
Where are we going to focus
So
our
find
energy?
them. The most big,
The biggest challenge, of
big
course, is the
proponent
pull
of
for the
positive
downward,
affirmations.
the downward pull. That has
Right.
changed.
So it's a challenge.
My life.
If
Positive
we've-
affirmations.
I grew up in a
Lately,
toxic
I've taken it
environment,
a level,
and I didn't know
I'm
anything better.
declaring them verbally.
Was extremely painful all the
The
time.
world was created with words,
But I didn't know any
Words,
better.
yeah.
But
Speaking
in the universe of
out
possibilities,
verbally,
there's
so in the
beauty,
morning when I
and
pray, I
there's
don't pray in
healing,
silence anymore. I pray
and
out loud.
there's good people
to
who
the
are
possibility and to the
kind,
things I want to
and
create.
they're not toxic,
and be a co-creator.
so find them.
So
Everything that is
big,
wrong
big
in your life,
proponent
you
of
write it
positive
down,
affirmations.
and you write what you want.
That has changed
my life.
Positive
And then
affirmations. And
you
lately,
commit to
I've
what
taken
you
it
want.
you
You
take
take
level,
that
and
15
I'm
minutes in the
declaring
morning
them
and
verbally.
you know and affirm and
You know,
pray.
the
God,
world was
all the
created
universal
with
power
words.
is within
Words,
you.
yeah.
You're just
Speaking
fighting
the
out
toxic, abusive,
verbally. So in the
mental
morning when I pray, I
structures
don't pray in
that
silence
you've
anymore. I
been
pray out loud. Thrown into or
to the possibility and to
or
the things
whatever
I want to create.
It is really a
and be a
battleground of
co-creator.
mind.
So
It truly is. Everything that is
But
wrong in your
it's
life,
very
you write it
winnable.
down, and you write
nearly
what you
any.
want. It's winnable, but you have to commit.
You write
to
what
it.
you want.
So
And
whatever
then
was wrong
you
in my life,
commit
and
to
there
what
was
you
a
want.
big
You
list.
take that 15
Big
minutes in the
list.
morning and you know,
You
and
know, I
affirm
would
and
write
pray.
it down.
What do
God,
I want?
all the
What's here?
universal
What do I
power
want?
is
What's
within
here? What
you.
I want?
You're
When
just
it
fighting
comes to
shame,
the toxic,
guilt,
abusive,
pain,
mental structures.
This is what I
that
deserve.
you've
This is all
been
I deserve.
thrown into
all that
or
stuff.
happened
Yeah.
into or whatever.
That is,
You
it
need
is
to
really a
rework your identity
battleground
to
of
know the
mind.
truth.
It
You
truly
keep away
is.
the lies, know
But
the truth of who you
it's
are,
very
and
winnable.
affirm
for
nearly
your
any.
future.
It's winnable,
Like,
but you have
affirm
to commit to it.
Healing for your
And
children.
so whatever was
Affirm
wrong
a
in
better
my
future
and
for
there was
your children.
a big list.
If you look out in the
Big
world, you will see people who
I,
came from
I
crazy
would write
situations.
it down.
I
What
personally
do I
have
want?
several
What's here?
refugee
What do I
friends
want? What's here? What I want?
who are
When it
very
comes to
successful.
shame,
They came from
guilt,
nothing
pain,
but love in their
this is what
family.
I deserve.
This is all I deserve.
And even if you didn't have
All
love
that
in your
stuff.
family, you can find
Yeah.
it in the universe of
That is
possibilities.
you
I
need
did
to
not know
rework
what
your
love was
identity
until
I
I
was
know the
about
truth.
30 years old.
I had
You know,
no idea.
Keep away the
Right?
lies.
I
know
thought
the
it was
truth
a
of who
word.
you are. A
And
weird word.
affirm your future.
Today I laugh, right? But it's a few years later.
Affirm
a lot
your
of years
future.
later.
Affirm. But my
Like,
mother said she loved me.
affirm
You know, she was
healing
a
for your
schizophrenic
children.
alcoholic.
Affirm
She
a
didn't know
better
what that
future
meant.
for your
She
children.
couldn't possibly know
Affirm,
what it meant
now,
to love me.
if you look
So
out
they
in the
think
world,
that love
you
is
will see
abuse,
people
it's
who came
attachment,
from
and
crazy
all these
situations.
sort of
I
crazy
personally
things.
have several refugee
Depending on
friends
the level of
who
abuse,
are
that
very
you found,
successful. They came
there's
from
variations
nothing
of
but
how deep you
love
need
in
to
their
go.
family. What kind of therapy you need.
Right.
I had a ton of
And even if
therapy,
you
a
didn't
ton
have
of
love in your
coaching,
family, you can
a
find
ton
it
of
in the universe
journaling.
of
I'm a
possibilities.
reader.
I did
think it's
not know what
important.
love
Now we're
was
so
until
blessed
I was
with
about 30 years
podcasts, with
old.
YouTube. It's so
I had
easy
no
now.
idea.
When I started healing,
I
from
thought it
my,
was a word,
challenges,
a
it was
weird
in the
word.
90s. I started figuring it out.
And I, you know,
in,
today I
the
laugh, right?
90s,
But it's a few
that
years
something
later, a
was
lot of years
really,
later.
really wrong.
But
And I
my
couldn't
mother
figure out
said
what
she
it
loved
was.
me, and then
It was hard to find
you know, she
information.
was a
So I'd go to the
schizophrenic
library for
alcoholic.
books, and
She didn't
you
know
didn't
what that
have
meant.
Amazon
She
for
couldn't
books. You didn't have
possibly
YouTube.
know what it meant to
Now
love
there's
me,
so many.
right? So
Right,
they
God,
think
we're
that
like
love is
so
abuse, it's attachment,
unbelievably
and
blessed.
you know, and all
that
these
you
sort,
could
sort of
Google
crazy
whatever your
things.
problem is, and you could
So,
chat GPT your problem.
depending
It'll
on
tell
the
you a
level
solution.
of abuse, it's, you know, the challenge.
Yeah.
There's
You know, it's
variations
crazy.
of how deep you
Yeah,
need to
it's
go,
phenomenal.
what kind of
And there are
therapy you
support
need.
groups
You
for
know, I had a ton of
everything
therapy, a ton
now,
of
but there wasn't
coaching,
then.
a ton of
So I truly
journaling.
believe
I'm a
our
world is
reader.
coming into a
I
spiritual
think it's important
liberation
now.
like
We're
we've
so
never
blessed
seen
with
before.
podcasts.
I see it
We're
all
blessed
over.
with YouTube.
Young kids know
It's so
much
easy
more
now.
than I
When I
did at
started
their
healing
age,
from my
because it's available. I think that's
challenges, it was in the
fantastic.
90s. Like I
I'm not
started
sure if
figuring
I've
it out
answered your question.
in
I
like
kind of
the
went on
90s that
Thank
something
you.
was really,
Like
really
you
wrong,
said,
and I couldn't figure
we
out what
shall
it
know the
was.
truth, and the
And it was
truth
hard
shall
to find
set us free.
information.
That's what the
You know,
Bible
I'd go to the
says.
library for books.
Yeah.
You know, but you didn't have Amazon for
I
books. You
know,
didn't have YouTube. Now
actually,
there's so many.
actually
My God,
explained
we're
earlier
like
on
so
that it's quite
unbelievably
important for
blessed
women to know
that you could Google whatever
who
your
they
problem
are,
is, and you could
discover
chat
or
GPT your
rediscover your
problem, and it'll tell you a
identity. That's very
solution.
crucial. Then self-love, because you talked about love.
You know, it's crazy.
What is the meaning of love?
Yeah, it's
Find that out
phenomenal.
and then
You
start
know,
building from
and there
there.
are support groups
You have
for
to be authentic to
everything
yourself.
now. You
So
know, there
that's quite
wasn't then.
vital. And
So
from there,
I
you can
truly
start
believe our world
building
is coming into a spiritual
back
liberation like we've never seen
what
before.
you
I see it all over.
maybe
Young
lost
kids know
due
much
to
more
the unhealthy
than I did at
relationships
their
you were
age, because
involved
it's
in.
available.
Because
I
most
think
of the
that's
time,
fantastic.
this is what happens
Not sure if
when
I
women are in
answered your
unhealthy
question. I kind of went on a.
relationships. They tend to lose a lot.
Thank you. And like you
Because they are
said,
not as focused. We shall know the truth, and the
they
truth
should
shall
be
set us free. That's what the Bible says.
like you said,
Different energies pulling
So-
them
Yeah,
here and there. I
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
you
very true.
actually explained earlier I'm going to
on,
ask another
that
question.
it's
Quite important for
not
women
really
to know necessarily similar to what
who
we
they
talked
are
about now. Discover or rediscover your
how
identity.
can
That's
a
very
woman
crucial. Become
then
successful
self-love,
in such a
because you talked about
competitive
love
environment. What is the meaning of love? And also deal with gender challenges. Find that out and then start building from there. What you're doing,
from
it, they'll say it's a man's world. Or you're doing it effortlessly as a woman. So that's quite vital.
Yeah,
And from
it's easier
there,
now
you
that
can
I'm
start
older. I'm more
building
commanding than when I was younger.
back.
I tend to think
What
of
you
myself kind of like as
maybe the
prey
lost
when I was
due
younger
to
with the
the
men. You know, they're like,
unhealthy
"Oh, look at that
relationships
cute
you
little
were
thing," and all of that. The
involved
first
in.
time I
Because
stepped
most of
into
the
a
time,
meeting
this is what
about
happens
real estate investing,
when
one of the men
women
asked
are
me
in
if I was looking
unhealthy
for a husband.
relationships. They tend to lose a lot because they're
And that
not
was in
as
the 90s.
focused
They're
as
like, "No,
they
I'm
should
here to
be.
learn. Is that possible?"
Like
Now,
you said,
of
different
course, it's
energies
different,
pulling them
right?
here and there.
It is a challenge, especially
Yeah.
if you're nice
Very
looking and
true.
if you're young, and you really need to
So
understand your own
I'm going to ask another
value and
question.
boundaries,
Not
what it
really
is that you
necessarily
want
similar
and
to what
don't
we talked
want.
about now.
Oftentimes, women end up having
But
partnerships because of that.
how
I'm in a
can
situation where
woman
I'm very blessed because I have
become
many male
successful
friends
in
at
such a
this point
competitive
that work with me
environment
and help me.
and
That's the good
also
part
deal
of
with
being a woman in
gender
this.
challenges?
If you
Because
can
you
get
are,
a nice
to
relationship
some
with
people,
men,
what
the
you're
right men,
doing,
they
they'll
want to
say
help
it's a
you. They want
man's
to help
world,
women.
or you're
So
doing
I
it
think women need to
effortlessly
realize
as a
that.
woman.
So
Yeah.
utilize that. It's easier now that I'm older. I'm more
And
commanding
your
than
other
when I was
question was,
younger.
how can women
You know,
become
I tend
successful?
to think
Yes,
of
success in
myself
and
kind of
deal
like as
with the
prey
gender
when I was younger with the men. You know, they're like, "Oh,
challenges.
look at that cute little
Yeah.
thing."
So
And,
being
and all of
successful, I
that.
think
The first time I
defining
was
what
stepped
success
into
means for
a
you. Does it
meeting
mean financial
about real estate
stability? Does
investing,
it mean
one of the men
wealth?
asked me
Does
if
it
I was
mean
looking
being
for
in
a financial
husband?
orbit, never thinking about money again.
What speaks to your
And that
heart?
was in the
What are your
90s. They're
goals?
like, "No,
Again, in
I'm
the
here to
beginning,
learn."
when
Is
I
that
started learning about
possible?
real
You know,
estate,
now,
it was all
of
men
course,
giving
it's
all the
different,
talks and
right?
the presentations. And they're like,
It
"Oh,
is
you
a
want a Lear
challenge,
jet, and
especially
you want a
if
big
you're
mansion,
nice
and you want
looking
to
and
do
if
this
you're
and that."
young, and you
None
know,
of that spoke
so
to
you
me.
really need
What
to
spoke to me was
understand your
having
own
freedom,
value
like to
and
just to do what I
boundaries.
want to do.
What
If I
it is
want
that you
to,
want and
if I
don't
want to take
want,
care of
and
my
what
health, or if I want to do whatever.
oftentimes
I
women end
created
up
my
having
real estate, and I was
partnerships
able to go
because
to the
of
gym
that.
for an hour and a half a day.
I'm in a
for
situation
many,
where I'm
many
very
years
blessed
because that was
because I have
really
many
important to
male
me.
friends at
Because
this
I had the
point
flexibility
that work work with me
now
and
I
help
do
me.
red light
That's the good
therapy
part of being
to
a
have
woman
a lot
in
of
this.
flexibility in my
If you
life
can
because
get
I
a
built
nice
my
relationship
world,
with men,
right?
the right
So
men,
defining what
they
success
want to help you.
means
They
to
want to help
you,
women.
looking at
And
men as an
so I think
ally
women need
and
to
not
realize that.
a rival. You had also mentioned
You know,
something
so
about being competitive.
utilize
and
that
I
opportunity.
think the most
And
important
your
thing
other
about
question was how
competition,
can
there's
women
two things.
become
One of them is don't
and,
compare yourself to anybody else.
Uh,
Because that's
successful or
yes,
a fool's
successful,
game on every level.
and deal with the
And every level is
gender
a fool's game. And watch out for
challenges.
scrolling on social media.
Yeah.
Stay
So
off the
being
timeline.
successful, I think,
As
defining
much
what
as you
success
can,
means for
because
you.
it's like every other
Does it mean
thing is
financial
an
stability?
advertisement now.
Does it mean
It used to not be on
wealth?
Facebook, but now it's advertising.
So
Does
it
mean
kind of
being in
just like
financial
you're
orbit
opening
and never
yourself thinking
to,
about
unless
money
you're in
again,
marketing and you want to learn strategies on marketing.
what speaks to your
But
heart?
if you want to start comparing yourself, there you go.
Again,
Because
in
all
the
these
beginning,
successful people
when I
are
started
giving
learning
you the
about real
highlight reels
estate,
of
the
their
men were
lives,
like,
whatever
it was
that
all
means,
men giving
right?
all the
So
talks and the
really look at
presentations,
yourself,
and they're like,
compare
oh, you
yourself
want a
to your
Learjet
past
and you want a
your
big
future.
mansion and you want to do
And
this,
then
none of that
is number
spoke to
one
me
when it comes to
what
this
spoke
whole
to
thing of
me
dealing with
was
competition. The
having
second
freedom.
thing I think is critically
Like to
important
just to do what I
is
want to
for
do.
you
If
to
I
know
want
what
to,
your natural genius
if I want to
is.
take care of my health.
Now, if you're
or
coming
I
from
want
an
to do
abusive
whatever.
situation,
So I
that's
created my real
challenging
estate and I was
because,
able to go to
like
the
I
gym
said,
for an
with
hour
the
and a half a
situation,
day
I
for
ended up
many,
in a
many
very,
years
very
because that was
controlling
really
religious
important to me.
environment
Because
where
they
they
told
had
me my
flexibility.
value and my self-worth was attached to
the kingdom
now
of God
or whatever
do
they
red
told
light
me
therapy
was
and
right and
do-
wrong.
to have a lot of
And
flexibility
I
in my
didn't
life because I
matter.
built my
That's
world.
what I was taught.
Right. So
I didn't
defining
matter.
what success means to
And
you,
that's very challenging. So
looking
I had
at
to
men as an
recreate my
ally
identity.
and not
So going back to
rival.
identity,
You had also
but
mentioned something about
cross-referencing,
being
knowing what your natural
competitive.
genius
And
is.
I
So I
think
didn't
the
have
most
parents who
important thing
saw
about
me.
competition,
A lot of
there's
times that
two
happens if a
things.
woman's abused.
One of them is don't compare
situation.
yourself to anybody
You
else.
don't
because
have
that's
people mirroring
a fool's
your
game
good parts.
on every level.
You have people mirroring
And
your
every
dark
level is a fool's
aspects.
game. And watch out
that's
for
who you're
scrolling
seeing.
on social
You're not
media.
seeing your light. You're not
Stay
seeing
off
your
the
natural
timeline
glow. You're not seeing
as much
what's
as
good
you
about
can because it's
it's
like
really
every other
critical to
thing is
see
an
what is
advertisement
good
now.
about you.
It used to
Once
not
you
be on
see
Facebook,
what's
but now
good
it's
about
advertising
you.
every day.
And you can
So
do
it kind of
This
just
is
like you're
focus,
opening
this is
yourself
thinking
to,
about it.
unless you're in marketing and you want to learn
even write an
strategies of
affirmation.
marketing.
I see what's good about me.
If you want to start comparing yourself,
I
there
see
you
God's
go.
radiance
Because all these
within me
successful people
naturally
are giving you the
expressing.
highlight
This can
reels
be
of their lives,
your
whatever
natural
that
thinking
means, right?
process.
So
Over time,
so
when you clear
really
up
look
that
at yourself,
toxicity,
compare yourself to
once
your
you get to a
past and your
space
future.
that
And then
you are
that is number
no
one
longer
when it comes to
looking at
this
the dark
whole thing
parts
of
of
dealing with
yourself, you start
competition.
seeing
The
the good
second
parts of
thing I think
yourself.
is
You say,
critically
"Oh,
important
I'm good at
is
this.
for you to
I'm good
know
at
what
this.
your
I'm
natural
good at
genius
this."
is.
And then competition
Now, if
no
you're
longer
coming from an
becomes
abusive
an issue.
situation, that's challenging
Because you're not competing, you're
because,
creating
like I
from
said,
the essence
in my
of who you are.
situation, I ended up in a very, very
And then
controlled
that's
religious
when,
environment
you
where
know,
they
the
told me my
divine,
value
really
and my
locks in with
self-worth
you,
was attached to
right?
the
It
kingdom of
pulls
God
you,
and whatever they
pulls
told
that
me
out.
was right and
And you
wrong.
continue affirming
And
and creating and
didn't
celebrating
matter.
my natural genius.
That's
And
what I was
everything
taught.
that I do is
I didn't
successful.
matter. Because
And
the universe
that's
is
very
with me, or
challenging.
God is with
So
me
I had
once
to
you get to
recreate
that
my
place.
identity.
So then competition.
So going back
I
to
tend to
identity, but
see that people who are
cross-referencing,
competitive,
knowing what
they
your
know
natural
they're good at
genius
something.
is. So I didn't
And
have
so they like
parents
the
who
competition.
saw me.
And
It's
a lot
not
of
a
times it
bad
happens
thing.
in I was with a really
woman's
successful
abused
Jew
or
the
abusive
other
situation,
week, and
we were
you don't
driving by
have
a
people
store, and it was a
mirroring
store
your
similar
good
to
parts.
his.
And he said, I
You
love
have people
competition.
mirroring your dark aspects. I went, oh,
Right?
look at you.
And
that's who you're
so
seeing,
cool, right?
You're not seeing
Because he's
your
good at
light.
what
You're
he
not
does.
seeing your natural
He's
glow.
owned
You're not seeing
very
what's good about
successful
you.
clothing stores for 40
And
years.
it's really critical to
And
see
he's
what is
great.
good
He has
about you.
beautiful clothes, and
Once you
women like
see
rip him
what's
off the
good about
shelves.
you,
He's no
and you can do
competition.
it.
He
Again,
doesn't
this
worry
is
about
focus.
Amazon
This is thinking
because he's
about
good
it.
at what he does. But
Affirming,
again,
you can even write an
Orthodox
affirmation.
Jew. He's got a
I
real
see what's good
solid
about me.
connection.
I
with
see my
divine.
natural
So
glow.
he thinks,
I see,
I love competition.
I
And I
see
noticed
God's
that with
radiance
myself.
within
Like
me,
if I'm competing
naturally
with somebody,
expressing,
or I'm
right?
feeling
This can
in my
be
head that I'm competing
your
or
natural
comparing,
thinking process.
and then
Over
I'm
time,
comparing myself
when
to
you clear up
their
the
strength and
toxicity.
my weakness. Well, that's
And then
stupid.
once you get to a space
But if
that
I'm comparing
you
my
are
best
no
to
longer
somebody else, then it's not so
so bad because I can step
looking
up
at
to
the dark
parts
parts
of
of
yourself.
naturally
You start
good at
seeing
it.
the good parts of
And I can
yourself.
say,
Say, oh,
they're
I'm
good
at
and I'm
this.
good.
I remember Paul
I'm good at
McCartney
this.
having an
I'm good
interview
at
and
this.
talking about
And
how
then
John Lennon and
competition no
him
longer
were in
becomes an
competition
issue.
for writing.
The two
Because
of
you're
them
not
are
writers
competing,
ever,
you're
creating from the
And I
essence
think
of who you
Paul
are.
said he was good,
Right.
but I'm
And then
good.
that's when,
And so he
you know,
just
the divine like really locks in with
and
you.
so they
Right.
didn't
And
mind.
it pulls you.
But then
Pulls that
competition
out.
is not,
And you continue
if you're
affirming,
working with your
I'm,
own strength,
you know,
and
I'm
your
creating
identity,
and celebrating
and
my natural
competition is not a
genius,
bad
and
thing.
everything that I do is
So you
successful
view competition as something
because, you know,
healthy, to kind
the
of
universe is with me, or
measure
God is with me
where you
once you
are
get to that
at.
place. So then competition,
As long as
you
you're
know, I
working
tend to
on your
see
own
that people who are
gifts,
competitive,
and you're
they
not
know they're
comparing
good at
yourself
something
to someone
and
else's
so they like the
strength, and it's
competition.
not your own natural strength.
It's not a bad
If you're
thing.
working,
So it's
I
like
was with a
apples
really
to apples,
successful
right?
Jew the other week,
So, right.
and
So find
we
your
were
own
driving
natural
by a
genius.
store, and he was
Take the strong
similar to his.
aptitude tests,
And he said,
the
I love
Enneagram,
competition.
or get to know yourself, like what your strengths are.
And I went,
There's a
oh,
lot of
look at you,
personality
and I
tests
thought,
and aptitude
that's
tests,
so cool,
and what are your
right?
strengths,
Because
and
he's
then
good at what he
gravitate
does.
towards those.
You know,
And then once you're there,
he's owned
you won't
very
mind it,
successful
because the Bible
clothing
says
stores for
iron
40
sharpens
years.
iron. That's a good thing. And he's great. He
Thank
has
you.
beautiful clothes,
Actually,
and
I
women like rip him
view
off the shelves.
competition
He's no in
as
competition. He doesn't worry about
not
Amazon because he's
comparing
good at what he
myself to
does. But
others, because
again, he
we
has,
as
as an
individuals
Orthodox
have our
Jew, he's got a real
strengths and our
solid
weaknesses.
connection with the
For
divine,
me,
right? And so he thinks, I love
I
competition.
see
And I
competition
noticed that
as
with
what
myself. Like
can
if
I
I'm
do
competing with
to improve
somebody, or I'm
myself?
feeling in my head that I'm competing
Yesterday
or
I did
comparing,
this. What
and
can I
then
do today that
I'm
is
comparing
better,
myself to
that will
their
enhance my
strength and my
craft? That
weakness.
is
Well,
what I
that's
see as competition.
stupid. Absolutely. Right. But if I'm comparing
So,
my best
why is
to
that
somebody else, then it's
important
not so bad, because I
for
can
women,
step up to the plate because I know I'm naturally good at it. And
especially
I can
lone
say, oh,
parents,
they're good and
to
I'm good,
invest
you know.
in
So
real
I remember
estate,
Paul McCartney having an interview and
learn
talking about how
budgeting,
John Lennon and him
and
were in
invest
competition for writing. The two
to
of the best writers
feel
ever, right?
confident.
And then I think Paul said he was good, but real
good.
estate is, you know, and
tried
so
and
he
true.
just like
They're hard
you know,
assets. Now,
and so
there's all
they
sorts of
didn't
ways to
mind,
mess it up.
right? So
like
then
anything
competition
else.
is not.
However,
If you're working
if
with your
you
own
think
strength and your
it
identity,
through
and
and you make a
competition is not a
commitment,
bad thing, it's phenomenally great.
So you
Okay,
see
so
competition as something
I have tenants
healthy
that
to
pay
kind of
my
measure
bills. That's
where you
wonderful.
are at.
Because you can
as long
breathe.
as you're working on your own gifts.
I started buying real estate in the 90s,
and you're not comparing
and
yourself
I
to
was
someone
not
else's
healed
strength
at
That's
all.
not your own
I started
natural
buying
thing.
6-family apartments.
If you're working,
and I
so
had
it's
a
like
little
apples to
business, was
apples,
doing
right?
extremely well, making
So,
6
right.
figures in
So,
the 90s,
yeah.
and I
So
bought
find
another
your own
6-family
natural
in the
genius.
9-plex.
I
I
flipped
flipped
a
the
property.
I started
You
getting
know, take the strong
involved that
aptitude
way.
tests.
When I
or,
hit the wall,
you know, the
when I was
Enneagram,
30
or
years
get to know
old,
yourself,
like
like
what your
how
strengths are.
messed up I was.
There's a lot of, you know, personality
Because of my
tests
toxic
and
environment
aptitude
that I never
tests, and what are
healed.
your strengths, and
I
then
needed to go
gravitate
really
towards
deep.
those. And then once
So
you're there,
I
you won't mind
left
it.
the
'Cause it's like
religion,
sharpening
left my
sharpens
husband,
iron. The Bible
which was
says iron
just
sharpens iron,
complete
right?
poison.
That's a good. But I didn't even know poison, except I was
Thank you.
reading Tony Robbins and I
Actually,
was feeling good, and
I
I go
view
back there and I was feeling
competition
bad, and I was
as
very confused. I had a split
not
personality
comparing
because
myself
I was
to
trying to get
others, because
success, and then
we
I was
as
undercutting.
individuals have our strengths and our
But I had bought
weaknesses.
that real estate,
For
and so
me,
I would focus on my real estate 3 days a week and my
I
business.
see
And then for
competition
4
as
days every
what
single
can
week,
I do
I
to get
rented a
myself
room
better,
in a
improve
beautiful
myself.
apartment
Right,
right in
right.
Newton,
That is
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
competition. I
Really
compare
cool.
myself
Yeah.
from yesterday I did
First
this. What
time I
can
ever
I
had
do
an
today
inkling of
that
what
is
love
better?
was
That will
from
actually
another human.
enhance my
It was right around
craft.
that
That is
time.
what I see
But
as
my real
competition,
estate
not
Yeah,
paid my
comparing
bills.
yeah.
others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I could think. So I wake
So,
up in the morning and I would take a long walk,
why
or I
is
would
that
go to the gym
important
and I would eat
for
healthy
women,
food and I would decompress. I was in a
especially lone
beautiful area
parents,
and it was my
to invest
sanctuary.
in real
It was
estate,
peace. And my real
learn
estate
budgeting,
kept pumping out money.
and invest
So I could think.
to
I was
feel
like, I could have bought anything.
confident?
I had so much money coming in. It was crazy. But I was a mess. Real estate is, and every day I would
It's tried and
read
true.
for hours, right? And
They're
I
hard
would go to
assets. Now,
classes, and
there's
I would
all
learn,
sorts
and
of
I would
ways to
talk
mess it up,
people who I
like
thought were
anything
safe.
else. However,
Because
if
church
you
wouldn't
think
let me talk to
it
people on the
through
outside,
and you make a
so I was
commitment,
scared of the people
it's
outside. They
phenomenally
were teaching
great.
okay,
Fear.
so
all the time.
when I have a
So I was
tenant
like embedded
that pays all my
fear.
bills, between my mother, alcoholism,
Like that's,
schizophrenia,
you know, I have
cult,
tenants
all
that
that stuff,
pay
it was
my
breeding
bills.
fear.
That's
and
wonderful.
so I was able to
Right.
go to a safe haven,
Because you
and I
can
started
breathe.
to heal.
So
when
that
I
would say
when I realized
is
I started buying real estate in the
an
90s,
amazing reason
and
to have
I
real estate.
was
What
not
if something
healed
happens?
at
Not
all.
necessarily
I was
that.
not healed.
What if you get sick?
But I started
Unless you have
buying
insurance, you can
6-family
always
apartments,
go on
and I
and
had a little
social
business,
services,
was
whatever.
doing extremely
But
well.
I didn't have to
making
do
6
that. I
figures
was able
in
to
the
maintain
90s, and I bought another
everything. I
6-family
didn't
in
have to
the
explain
9-plex.
to anybody.
I went
I
into
flipped
the
a property.
property. I
I
started
paid
getting
for therapy myself.
involved.
I went
that
into
way.
any healing.
When I
I
hit
paid
the
for it
wall
myself.
when I was 30
So it
years
gave
old,
me
and
strength, and I didn't feel like I
how
was
messed up
relying
I on anybody. So it strengthened me to have
because
my
of my
own
toxic environment that I never
resources.
healed.
So I would say
needed to go
that's a
deep,
phenomenal reason
really deep.
to have a safety.
So I
in case
left the
anything
religion.
happened. If you're doing well
Left
and
my
you're
husband,
strong,
which was
start by
complete
accumulating some
but I
real
didn't even
estate
know poison,
that
except
can
I
help
was
reading
support
Tony
you.
Robbins, and I was feeling good, and I'd go back there and I was feeling
I
bad,
also
and I was
see
like
it as a means
very
to
confused. I had a split personality
create financial
because I was trying to
freedom
get success, and then I
for the
would undercut it.
person, and maybe
But
to
I
leave
had bought
something
that
for
real
their children
estate,
if
and
they
so
have
I
children,
was
or for
able
family members, even if they
what I
don't
did
have
was I would
children.
focus
That's
on
how
my
I
real
see
estate
it.
3 days a week and my
Thank you.
business.
So
And then
what
for
is the
4
best way
days
to
every
create
single week,
generational
I
wealth?
rented a room in a beautiful apartment. Well, there's a lot of
Right
ways. Some
near,
ways I don't know.
Newton,
Currently, I'm studying a lot
with
of
a
commercial
really
real
cool
estate.
woman.
And
If
first
you can
time I
get
ever had an
involved with
inkling of what
commercial
love
real
was,
estate,
and maybe get
ground
from another
leases
human
in
right
key
around that
areas.
time.
But my
That's
real
a really
estate
great way
paid
to
my
get
bills.
generational wealth. Rockefeller Plaza is not
and
owned.
I could think.
But it's on
So
a
I
land
wake up in the
lease.
morning and I would take a long walk.
The Rockefellers knew
Or I would
this.
go to the
Almost
gym,
all of
and I would eat healthy
where
food.
in San Francisco
And I would
is owned
decompress. I was in a
multi-generationally.
beautiful area, and it was
So
my
these big
sanctuary.
money people
It was
bought
peace.
in key areas. They bought the land,
And my
and
real
they
estate
built things
kept
on it,
pumping out money.
and now they're getting money for
So I
leases
could
forever
think
without maintaining
it wasn't.
the
I was
property.
like I could have bought anything.
So the people who
so
own
much
the
money coming in.
buildings
It was
maintain the
crazy.
property, they own the lease,
But
so it's getting
I was a
generational
mess.
wealth without having all the hassle
And
of being
every day I
landlord.
would read for hours.
Mobile home parks are another way.
And I
You just
would,
own the dirt,
and you
I
let
would
people
go to
own
classes, and I would
the
learn, and I
individual
would talk to
units. So
people
there's a lot of
who I
ways,
thought were safe.
but
Those are a couple that come to
because
mind.
I
So you
couldn't.
can
The
build wealth or
Church
generational
wouldn't let me
wealth
talk to people on the
by
outside.
acquiring
So I
land,
was scared of the people
building
outside. They were
maybe,
teaching
like you
fear
said, houses,
all the time. So I was like
shops,
embedded in fear
or
between my mother, afraid of
maybe a
everything, and
farmland, and then
alcoholism, and
lease it out.
schizophrenia,
So
and the
it
cult,
transferred from
all
one
that stuff.
generation
It
to
was
the other.
breeding
Money's
fear.
coming in
And so I was able to go to a
regardless.
safe haven. I just started investigating because
started to
real
heal.
estate is highly demographically
So
specific.
that would I say
So what's
would
going
be
to
an
work here is
amazing
not going to
reason
work
to
where
have
you're
real
at.
estate.
Right.
What
So
if
just
something
start
happens?
looking
Not
around.
necessarily that.
Who's
What if you
doing
get
well
sick?
and what are
What
they
if something
doing?
happens?
Unless you have insurance,
And then
you could
follow
always
them.
go on,
Thank
social
you.
security,
That
like
leads me
social
to my next
services, whatever.
question.
But I didn't have to do that. I
Is
was
there any
able to
way someone
maintain
can get out of the
everything. I didn't have
economic
to explain to
inequality,
anybody. I didn't have to
especially
go to I went into
for
therapy,
lone
but I paid for the
parents?
therapy myself.
How would you
I
define
went into any
inequality?
healing.
The
I paid for it
rich,
myself.
middle
So it gave me
class,
strength, and I
I
didn't feel
can't
like I
speak
was
globally.
like
I'm not an
relying on
economist,
anybody.
and
So it
every
strengthened
area
me
is going
to
to be
have my
different.
own.
yeah.
Maybe the answer
Resources.
is move. So I would say that's a phenomenal reason.
Maybe the answer
to
is
have
move to another
to
area,
have
right?
a
Where you can
safety,
succeed. I mean, many people come
that
to
in
America
case
for that
anything
reason. A lot
happens,
of my
if
friends
you're
who are very
doing well and you're
successful are
strong,
immigrants. They
start
are much
by
more ambitious
accumulating
than the lazy
some
Americans
real
that
estate
take
that
freedom
can
for
help
granted.
support you.
But there's
Thank you.
inequalities
So
here.
I
I would
also see
say
it as a
hard work,
means
smart
to
work, learn, get into
create
areas,
freedom,
learn about
financial freedom
entrepreneurism, learn about marketing, learn
for the
about
person,
negotiation,
and
develop the high
also
skill sets
maybe
that
to leave
are
something
going
for their
to
children if they
rise
have
you
children, or
above.
for family members, even if they
and
don't have
then
children. That's how
focus,
I
commit
see
on your
it.
time.
Thank you.
Live very
So what
lean
is the best way to
and
create
simple, because the
generational
more
wealth?
stuff you get, the more time you have to manage it. But
Well, I guess there's a
literally,
lot of ways.
there was a
Some
time in
ways
my
I don't
life
know,
where
right?
due to
So something
so many crazy changes,
maybe
I was
beyond
living
me.
in like a 100 square
Currently,
foot
I'm studying a lot of
apartment. I had
commercial
sold
real
all my
estate.
apartment houses. I got a
And
divorce. I was ready to go to
if
California.
you can get
And I
involved
was
with
going to
commercial
roommate
real
with somebody
estate
who'd end up
well,
flaking on me.
and
I
maybe
mean, you
get
could
ground leases,
take a shower,
in key
wash your
areas,
hands, and work at your
that's a
desk
really
all
great
at the
way
same time. It was
to
so
get
tiny.
generational wealth.
But
Rockefeller
it was so
Plaza is not
liberating
owned,
after
but
managing
it's on
so many
a
apartment
land lease.
houses. I was there 6 months, and it was phenomenal.
The Rockefellers
So
knew this.
go
Almost
lean,
all of
focus
Union
on high
Square
leverage.
in San Francisco
And
is
again,
owned
what is your natural
multi-generationally.
genius? What are your highest skills?
So the
A lot of
big
people start
money
off in
people
IT.
bought in
There's so
key
many
areas. They bought the
opportunities
land
right now in tech
and they built
to do very
things
well.
on it.
But pair your
And then
natural
now they're
genius
paying
with
leases
what's the highest
forever.
income that you
They're
could
getting
possibly
money for
make,
leases forever without
bulk up
maintaining
your
the
cash,
property.
save it,
So the
and
people
then
who own the
learn how to
buildings
invest it.
maintain the
It's one thing
property,
to
they own
earn
the lease,
money.
so it's getting
Some people are
generational
very
wealth
good at
without
earning
having
money,
all the
but they have
hassle of
no
being a
idea how to
landlord.
invest it. Doctors are
Mobile home
sometimes
parks
the
are
worst
another way.
investors.
Just own the dirt. They don't know what to do. They let people
And
own
it's because it's a completely
the
different
individual
skill
units.
set.
That's another way.
To
There's a
answer your
lot of
question,
ways
to get
to
out of
start. Those are a
inequality,
couple that come to mind.
but pay attention to where you're living.
Okay.
Go to an
So
area
you
where
can
there's opportunity.
build wealth
Go to a
or
sector where there's
generational wealth
opportunity.
by
Match your
acquiring
natural genius to
land,
the opportunity.
building,
And then
maybe,
live
like you
lean
said,
while you
houses,
really catapult yourself to the next level.
shops,
And then
or
at that point, start learning
maybe
how
a
to
farmland,
invest
and then lease it out.
for the
So
long term.
it transfers from one generation to the other. People also need to learn how to invest, regardless, not just making the money. Just like you gave examples of doctors acquiring
just
the
start
money,
investigating,
but
because real estate is
having no
highly
knowledge of where
demographically
to
specific.
invest their money.
So what's going to work
So,
here is not going to
for
work where you're at,
example,
right? So just start looking
maybe you make
around
the money, you could
who's doing
invest in
well and what are they
stocks,
doing,
like you said,
and then
commercial
follow them.
property, tech,
Thank you.
or
So,
health.
that
Yeah.
leads me
So
to my next
I
question.
remember someone telling
Is there-
me before Zoom
Is there any
became
way
very
someone can get
prominent,
out of
which
economic
was due to
inequality,
COVID,
especially
immediately she
for
noticed that people
single
were
parents or
using
lone
Zoom
parents?
more. She quickly invested and
If they
she
can get
made
out
a
of,
bit of money
I'm sorry, I
from
didn't hear
doing
that.
that.
Oh, wow.
Get out of
Economic. That's awesome.
inequality.
Yeah, so paying
Inequality.
attention.
Okay,
There's
how
I've
would you
never been
define
traditionally a
inequality? Is
great
that,
investor.
like, how would
with
I-
the market? That's
how would
just
you
a
define
thing.
inequality?
But day trade for a
Maybe
while. That's probably why. There's an
the
old Peter
rich,
Lynch book, which was really
middle
good,
class,
Feeding the Street.
and the
Okay,
poor.
solid information.
Okay.
I think if I had
Okay.
drilled down on him instead of
I can't
going
speak
to the
globally.
day trading
I'm not an
route,
economist,
which I never
okay.
should have done. And
I would've
every
done very
area
well
is going to be
because I
different.
have natural
Maybe the answer
awareness.
moves. Women tend to have natural awareness.
That's a
For
good
example,
one.
you can tell
Maybe the answer
Costco
is
is a
move to
great
another
company
area, right?
because
Where
it's
you
always
can
packed.
succeed.
So
I mean,
invest in
many people
Costco.
come to America for that time.
I
That
love
reason. A lot
Amazon.
of my
And
friends
then I
who are very,
remember
very
my
successful
ex-boyfriend
immigrants.
saying, the
They
street
are
doesn't like
much
Amazon.
more
I'm like,
ambitious
I like
than the
Amazon.
lazy Americans
And
who
then
take
Amazon
freedom
blew
for
up. And
granted.
that's why Beating the Street,
by Peter
but
Lynch,
even
it's
here,
like,
things that
pay
there's
attention to what you buy
inequalities
and why
here,
you buy it.
right? Because their customer service is so amazing.
I would
Just
say
paying attention
hard
to the
work,
world
smart
around you.
work,
So
learn,
people should be more self-aware
Get into areas,
around their
learn about
environment and what's going
entrepreneurism,
on.
learn about
In a
marketing,
nutshell.
learn about
Because
negotiation,
matching
develop
your
the high skill
natural
sets
gifts and
that are
talents
going to
give you
rise
the
you
right
above. And then
reinvesting
really
strategy.
focus, commit on your time.
Some people are natural
delegate.
builders.
Live,
They're
I would
genius
say
with
live,
building things.
depending on
Like
where you are in
contractors,
life,
they love it. They're
live very
creative
lean
when problem solving
and simple.
and
Because the more
some
people
stuff
are
you get, the
natural
more
people
time you have to
person.
manage
They
it.
love people. They
But
love
literally,
connections.
there was a
Other
time
people
in
are
my life
natural
where
systems thinkers.
so
They
many
could
crazy
see the
changes. I was
whole
living in like
system and
a
put things
100
together.
square foot. Those are
Apartment.
broad
This is I had sold all my
categories, but
apartment houses and I
you
was
can become
about, I
very
got a
wealthy
divorce
just
and I was
focusing
ready to
on
go to
any one
California.
of those.
And then I
Contractors
was
can
going
do
to
phenomenal
roommate
in
with
real
somebody
estate.
who'd end up, if they're natural
Flaking on me.
builders, as long as they keep
So
the
I grabbed a
numbers in
little
line. The problem
piece
with
of
contractors
real
is
estate in
sometimes
one
they
of
hate
my
paperwork
apartments
that I had sold to my
and
ex-husband.
you need paperwork
And I
to
was
get
living this
that
little
going.
tiny
So maybe
100
teaming
square
up with
foot. I mean,
somebody
who you can
take a
trust to
shower,
do the paperwork,
wash your hands.
so
You
people
know,
who are
and
people
work at your
persons,
desk
they
all at
could
the same
be great with
all at the same
sales.
time.
And
It was so
sales has
tiny.
traditionally been like the
But
most
I was so
valuable,
liberated
high
after
dollars
managing
per
so many
hour
apartment houses.
enterprise that anybody's ever done. Sales is very powerful. And if you're good with people, if you're empathetic and you can direct people and you care,
go lean
and you love what you're
focus
doing,
on high
and you
leverage.
match that up, you can be
And
very
again,
successful.
what is your natural genius?
If you're a natural
what is
systems
your high
thinker, my
skills?
God,
You
you
know,
can
organize,
best in a lot of
manage
people
startup
startup
in
in
IT,
and
create
right now,
large
and there's so many
organizations.
opportunities.
So there's so much right now in
by
tech
focusing
to
on what
do
is your
very
natural
well.
gifts.
Pair
That's
your
the ticket to
natural
genius
fulfillment
with
as well.
with
I was
you
gonna
know
say
what
that.
what's the highest income
Yeah,
that you could
I'm gonna use
possibly
myself as an
make.
example. I love
You know, there so
encouraging
and
people.
then look
I see
beyond,
myself as a
right?
spiritual
So
healer because I
think,
pray a
bulk
lot.
up your cash,
I
save it,
encourage people maybe
and then
using the
learn how
word
to
of
invest
God,
it. There's
give
two, I
them
mean, it's
scriptures.
one thing to earn money.
Sometimes if
Some
I'm
people are very
permitted,
good
I
at
might
earning
lay
money, but they have
hands,
no idea
and
how to invest it.
I've done it in an
Doctors are
open
sometimes the
market.
worst investors,
The man felt very
right? They don't know what to do with it.
was
And
Asian,
it's
I'm
because it's a
African,
completely different
and
skill set.
I
So
asked
to answer your
permission,
question,
no touching, because
basically,
I just
you know,
picked it
to
up.
get out of
I said, "What's wrong
inequality,
with you? Are you okay?" He
but
said,
we
"No, I'm
focus
actually
on,
not
pay
okay."
attention to where you're
He
living.
told me, "What's wrong?"
Go to an area
him.
where there's
And before I
opportunity.
left, he
Go
felt
to a sector where there's
relieved and he was
opportunity.
thankful.
Match your
So
natural
if you've
genius
got,
to the
like you just
opportunity,
rightly said,
and then
God-given
live
gifts or divine
lean
gifts, let me
while
use that
you
word.
really catapult
Tap
yourself to the
into
next
it,
level.
nurse it,
And then at that
and
point,
you'll
start
go
learning
far.
how to invest
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
the long term. Prayer is powerful. So what you did for that man
So
was
people also
extraordinary.
need to
It's
learn
no
how
joke. If you get a real person who can pray, boy, phew, it is an energy shift. It's real stuff.
The money,
yeah.
I would say that's
having no knowledge of where to invest their money.
Creative.
So, for example,
what are the
maybe
biggest
you make the money, you could invest in stocks.
You've learned,
and like
in
you said,
30 years of
commercial property or
investing?
property. Or,
The second question is, what are top 3 books
tech
to
itself
read to get started?
Yeah, one of the most important lessons in 30 years of real estate is to learn
prominent
value,
which was due to COVID.
and that might sound a little vague,
immediately
but it's a way of educating yourself. So, for example, if you buy a property, it's in a war zone,
made a bit
it
of
has a
money
certain
from
value.
doing that.
Oh, wow, good for her.
Right?
That's
If you
awesome.
buy an ugly house,
Yeah,
in a
so paying
beautiful
attention,
neighborhood, it has
there's
a
the,
different value. Now, I've never been traditionally
So
a
pay
great
attention
investor
if you're going to be in
with
real
the
estate.
market. It's just a
Where's
thing.
the highest value?
And I did day trade for a while.
And
That's probably
also,
why.
where do you feel
But
comfortable investing?
there's an old Peter Lynch book.
Would
which
you
is
feel
really
comfortable
good.
investing in a war zone?
Beating the
Some
street.
people love it.
Very good, solid information.
They're good,
you know. And if I had,
Someone's
got to
drill down on him instead of going
But
to
that was not
the day
for me.
trading route.
But I didn't
which
learn
I
that
should never
right
should
away,
have
and I
done.
ended up
Accidentally
very,
buying
very
one
well
and
because
that
I have
wasn't
natural
So
awareness.
paying attention
And
to
women
learning
tend to have
value in
natural
your area,
awareness, right? So, for
learning your
example,
market.
you know,
I think
you
that
can
would
tell
be
Costco
a
is a
really
great
important
company.
lesson. The other
because it's
thing
always
is, if
packed.
you hang on to something
So
long
invest in
enough in a
Costco.
decent area, it will
If you,
appreciate.
like, I love Amazon, right?
I
So
love
if you
Amazon.
find a deal, if you
So,
find
and then I
something,
remember my
don't
ex-boyfriend
get
saying,
rid of it quickly.
"Oh, the
unless
street doesn't
you
like Amazon."
absolutely have
I'm like,
to.
I like Amazon.
Try to hold on to it
Amazon
if you
blew
can
up,
and
right?
accumulate.
It's like, I don't care
So
what
it's
the
better
street,
to have
that's my
more
Beating the Street by Peter Lynch. It's like
small properties.
pay attention to what
and
you
sometimes
you know what
flipping
you
them.
buy and
There's a
why
higher
you
tax,
buy it and what you know because
and
their customer
holding
service
on to
is so
them, you can let
amazing. They're
them
easy to
appreciate.
you know.
In
Of course, they blow
California,
up. So
that
homes
type of thing, just
appreciate
paying
about
attention to the world
every
around
10 years.
you know. That's an
So
average.
people should be more
Double every 10
self-aware
years. So if you can hang
around their
on
environment
for
and what's going
longer
on in a
and build
nutshell.
wealth that way. However,
Thank you.
recently I liquidated about 3/4
Does
of my
matching your
residential
natural
because I
gifts
wanted to focus
and
on commercial.
talents give you
Right,
the
so
right
at a certain point, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Other than
reinvesting
that,
strategy?
I would say knowing who you are
Does it give you the right
and knowing your
reinvesting strategy
identity.
by natural?
Do the
Your
best that you
natural
can.
gifts and
Understand
talents.
that you have value.
That's the best thing to
Learning
invest
that
in.
early, right?
Yes.
And
That's the
continue
best thing to
educating
invest
yourself.
in.
What
Yeah.
you said
Some
earlier,
people are
constantly
natural
improving
builders. They're a
yourself.
genius with building
I
things.
think that was
right.
my
Important
contractors.
lesson
They love it
as
They're
well.
creative when
I
problem
don't know what the
solving.
beginner books are right now.
And
However,
some people
I
are
think
natural people
truly
person.
a good one is Rich
You know,
Dad
they
Poor
love
Dad.
people. They love
So many
connections.
people have been changed
You know,
by
other
that.
people
I
are
read it in the
natural
90s and I thought,
systems
this is
thinkers.
cool. I started
They can
with
see
nothing
the
down.
whole
By Robert Allen.
you know,
That was in the
system
90s.
and put things
The
together.
numbers are different,
but the
with
concepts
those are
are
broad
really good.
categories.
I
But
still have Robert Allen's
you can become
his rules
very,
for
very
wealth.
wealthy.
I've
just
had it on my
focusing
desk for
any one
30
of
years,
those.
right?
I think he has
Contractors
some
can do
phenomenal
phenomenal
stuff.
in
He
real
really
estate.
got me going.
Right, if they're
Carlton
natural
Sheets
builders, as long as they
had some-
keep the
Those are
numbers
the things
in
that
line.
people classically
The
got
problem
involved
with
with.
today,
Contractors
start by
is
watching
sometimes they
people
hate
pockets
paperwork.
because it's current
And
and
you need
fresh,
paperwork
and
to
it's
get
that going.
So I
maybe
would say they'll
teaming
get
up with
anybody
somebody
going.
who
Some
you
of
can
the fortune
trust
builder
to do the
stuff is
paperwork.
fantastic as well.
So
people
if you want
who
to
are
get into
people
commercial, I'd
persons,
say
you know, they
anything
could
from
be
J.
great
Scott
with
Shield, get
sales.
involved with that
And
academy.
sales is traditionally
That'll
been
get
like the
anybody
most
going. Valuable,
Thank you. I've
high
actually read Robert
dollars per
Kiyosaki's book,
hour
Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I would say
enterprise that
nuggets of
anybody's ever
wisdom.
done. You know,
And
sales
and he
is
breaks
very
it down very
powerful.
simply,
And if you're good with
anybody
people,
can get it.
if you're empathetic,
It's
and you
changed
can
quite a
direct
few
people
people's
and you
lives that I
care,
know.
and you
It's
know,
fun to read. It's
you
got
know,
good
you know
stories.
and love what you're
He's
doing.
got one of the best
You
ghostwriters
match that
around.
up, you can be very successful.
Sharon Lecter's
Thank you.
Your
You were quite
natural,
right.
if you're a
Even in the
natural
UK
systems
here,
thinker,
when
my
you hold on
God,
to
you
property,
can do, you
it
can
appreciates,
organize, manage
regardless,
people, you know,
whether
and
small, just a
create
simple flat,
organizations, large
masonette,
organizations. You could
or
use,
a
you know, so there's so
ground
much
4 or 5
by
bedroom house.
focusing on what is your
I would like to say
natural
between 8
gifts.
to 10
There's,
years,
you
it
know,
does appreciate.
that's the way.
Massive.
And then
That is
of course,
another
that's
way
the ticket to
to
fulfillment as
generate
well.
or build wealth. I was going to say that. But the difference
Right?
between residential
When you know what you're good
and
at.
commercial property,
For
I think, is
example, I'm
slightly
going to use
vast.
myself as an example.
It's slightly
I
best.
love encouraging people.
Yes,
I see
agreed.
myself as a
So
healer, spiritual healer, because I pray
people
a
make
lot.
more money
from commercial property, from the looks of things, because I've seen people who talk about it. So some of my colleagues,
sometimes if I'm permitted, I might lay hands,
go into commercial property.
I've done it in an open market.
Leases,
Man felt
not
very
only
relieved.
that, because when you have residential properties and your tenants damage anything, you tend to spend more.
And I touched him because
But for commercial property,
picked it up.
if it's
I
a
said,
bank
what's wrong
that
with you? Are you okay? He said, no, I'm not
you
actually not
gave
okay.
the lease
I said,
to,
what's wrong? He told me.
is mandatory for the bank. They've got
and
the
before
money
I left, he felt
to repair
Right.
whatever damage
better, and he
done
was
to the
quite,
property.
thankful.
So I guess
if
this was
you've
what
got,
you looked at,
like you
and you
just
decided
rightly
no
said,
more
talents.
residential. I'm converting everything
Not,
to commercial property.
God-given gifts or divine
Exactly.
gifts. Let me use that word.
And it's paying off
Tap
for
into
you.
it.
Yeah.
And nurse it.
That leads me to
And it will go far.
another question.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, prayer is powerful. So
And
what you did for that
important and
man was
real-life
extraordinary.
situations,
You know,
many
it's no
people
joke.
face is escaping
If you
an
get a real
abusive
person who can pray,
relationship.
boy, phew, it is an energy shift.
How can such
It's
persons
real
bounce
stuff.
back
It's
and
real stuff.
eventually build
Yeah.
financial independence? I would say that's my. I know you've partially answered the question, but can you elaborate more, please?
So
That's
they've
because
already
I'm
left, or
gifts
they're
and talents, and
thinking
I
of
like being
leaving.
creative. So,
Both ways.
Okay, so if you're thinking of leaving,
Thank you.
obviously challenging with children, and I can't really speak to
What
that,
are
but everything comes
the
down to
biggest
focus.
lessons
First of all, you
you've
need to believe
learned
that
in
something else
30
is better.
years
And even
of
if you don't believe
investing?
something is better, you have to think
The
that
second question is,
something's
what
better
are
for you.
top 3
Somebody believes there's something better
books
for
to
you.
read
There's
to
something
get
better out there.
started?
Okay, because in the universe of possibilities on this planet, there's something better for this person. I didn't know when I was in an abusive situation what better was. My goodness, so many lessons. Top 3 lessons. Okay, I didn't know. I'd say, but there is something true. One of the most important lessons, if you dig deep in 30 years of real estate, is to you may not know what it is, you may not have ever seen it before, learn but you have to value know that there's something better, and that you can have that better. Learn value, and that might sound a little vague. Choose to believe it anyway. But it's a way of educating yourself. So, for example, universe, I think there's something better for me. If you buy a property, give me faith. It's in a war zone. Something better for me. It has in your mind all the time. Like really have to focus. This is the only thing. Ugly house in a beautiful neighborhood has a different value, even though it seems like it controls you sometimes. So pay attention. And that's why I think writing down affirmations are important, because the mind gets all crazy and you get all the emotions, fear, and terror. Also, where do you feel PTSD? Like all this stuff is real, right? So would you feel comfortable investing in a war zone? That there can be something better, and they're good at it. You need someone's got to be a landlord there. But that was not for me. Yourself. But I didn't learn that right away, and to believe that there's something accidentally buying one. So and that wasn't. We have to spend our time doing so paying attention. Nothing more to and learning, reprogramming, value, rewiring your brain, learning your market for health. Right, I think that would be positivity, really financial independence. The other thing is if you hang on to something, there's nothing more important in a decent area. So it will appreciate wherever you are. Yes. Look around you, ask for help. If you can have faith that people if you find a deal, if you find something, no matter where you're at, it can get rid of it quickly unless you, and you have to absolutely commit. Try to hold on to it if you can and accumulate. So it's better to have be an easy road, but you have to have a road somewhere. If you're in an abusive relationship, small properties, then sometimes you can really be happy. It's going to be bumpy, but you don't ever want to go back there. So honestly, right now, you can let them. I don't even remember. Like I have to go back into my memory about double every 10 years to all that craziness. That's an average, and double every 10 years. So if you can hang on. My mother was hanging around murderers. I have had multiple suicides in that way. However, murders and family recently I liquidated about 3/4 of cultish religion, all of that stuff. So because I wanted to focus on commercial. Go back there in my brain. So it's like a bad at a certain point, know when to hold them well. But anybody in that situation, you can rise above. Then, there's absolutely no doubt. But you need to focus on healing. Just write down what it is you want. I would say, I want to be healed. I want to be financially independent. Knowing who you are, choose to and knowing your identity. The universe will lead you. Do the best that you can. Understand that the universe will lead you out of this, and learning that early. There's 1,000 resources. Continue educating yourself. What you said earlier, constantly improving yourself, no matter how hard it is. I think that was, that was an important lesson. And I'm going to start looking. You can affirm in your mind. You could say, I see and then
better
books.
Possibilities for me.
Yeah, so the books. I haven't been a beginner in a long time. I am drawing in financial the beginner books are right now. However, literally, I started off. I think it's the law. Truly, I think a good one is Keeps Working for Me. Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I just can't believe how phenomenal so many people have been changed by that. You know, but I read it in the 90s. And I thought, oh, that's cool. You know, and then Robert Allen has some great stuff. Nothing Down. That's how I started. That's why the Bible by Robert Allen. That was in the 90s. The numbers are different, but the concepts are really good.
It says faith without
you know, I
works
still
is dead.
have
So
Robert Allen's.
have the faith and also put
Where
in
is
the
it on my
work,
desk?
so to speak.
Well, I think the work is behind me. Praying. I have his rules for wealth. I've had it on my desk for 30 years. There's a reason. Robert Allen's. Yeah, it's there. It's wealth trying to get into our mind. I've had it like for 30 years. We have a helmet of strength around I think our mind. He has some phenomenal stuff. He really got me. We can protect our mind. We have to stand guarded at the door of our mind. Not just let anybody classically got involved with. Today, there's so many great YouTube Bigger Pockets. I would start by watching Bigger Pockets.
So,
because it's current, it's fresh, you know, and it's YouTube. So I would say that's probably, they'll get anybody going.
That can offer,
you know, some of the Fortune Builder stuff is fantastic as well. If you want to get into commercial, I'd say anything from J. Scott Shield, get involved with that academy.
Investment programs or groups.
That'll get anybody going.
To make property ownership. I've actually read Robert Kiyosaki's.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any. What I do know is there's Al-Anon. It's a place for people who are related to or connected to people who are abusing. And he breaks it down very simply where anybody can get. So Al-Anon helps. Yeah, it's changed quite a few people's lives. That wives, all of that. So I think it's a good, really, and it's easy to read. It's fun to read. It's got good stories. Sometimes the Chamber of Commerce will have business people who Sharon Lecter's like one of the best ghostwriters. Their expertise to people. They'll help women, and I know of different programs, but I haven't taken advantage of all of them. But there are definitely opportunities. I would just Google them and then start asking around.
Well, that's thank you. I think in the UK we have cooperatives, masonette, some startups, or ground survivors, 4 or 5 bedroom house. So it's gained financial. I would say between 8 to 10 years. It does appreciate, and some other organizations. Yes, so I know the Salvation Army. That is another way helping with food and generate. I think they give some training as well, build wealth. So yeah,
we always have our libraries.
That's where I started. Between residential,
because you can have no money, but you can look around and there are going to be books.
That's true. That's where you get the fantastic resources.
It's slightly vast.
You can get financial books on property.
Yes, agreed there. Exactly. So I read over 1,000 books on personal development, spirituality, money, business.
From commercial property, and so from the looks of things.
That's where you go.
I've seen people who talk about it. So some of my colleagues. A lot, though.
It's a lot. And sometimes I look at my book, I'm like, could I be that old to have read all these books?
Go into commercial but it's property. Worth it. Knowledge is power. Because of the leases. Thank you so much. What are your last words of encouragement? That because when you know that you can change your life beyond what you damage anything comprehended, you tend to spend more. But you need to take control of your life. You need to extricate yourself from toxic people. If it's do the best that you can. You got to be really hard on yourself, your own weaknesses, strengthen your weaknesses, heal your weaknesses. It's mandatory for the bank and find refuge in whatever damage positive environments. So I guess this was what you positive affirmations. And you decided, okay, no more. I belong to a center for spiritual living, to commercial and it just teaches you exactly. If you're going to pray affirmatively. And it's choose to have faith that you can rise above anything that you're involved in. And you can literally do a 180. You would not recognize your environment that leads me to just a couple of years, depending on how much you focus. You can get yourself to safety quickly. And then you can learn and learn that you really want to live a life of abundance, faith, creativity, joy, spiritual expansion. Healing and growth. That's really the goal. And eventually build financial independence. Your mind is like a dirty bucket. I know you've partially answered the question, but poisons and toxicities and mud. And then if you keep pouring clean, fresh water, they've already left water that's going in your mind and get rid of the dirt and pay attention to what's going on here. Both ways. Okay. So catch yourself thinking of getting upset, angry, obviously challenging with children. Just keep focusing on what you want. To that, but by your affirmations, everything comes down to focus. Once your bucket is filled with clear water, first of all, you need to believe that something else is better. And even if you don't believe something is better, you have to think that. And viewers, you've heard. I believe something's better for you. Somebody believes there's something better for you. There's something better out there.
Okay, because in the universe of possibilities on this planet, there's something better for this person. Okay, so I didn't know when I was in an abusive situation that I didn't know what better was. I didn't know life could be good.
And
I
go
didn't
out
know.
and do it. On that
But
note, listeners,
I chose
viewers,
there was something, you know, there is
the
something true about the human spirit. If you dig deep into who you are, you know there has to be something better.
Thank you so much, Ginger,
you may not know what it is, you may not have
really
ever seen it before, but that you have to know that there's something better and that you can have that better.
As well as
and if you don't believe it, choose to believe it anyway. Just say,
being our best version
God,
for ourselves,
universe, I think there's something better for me. Show me, give me faith that there's something better for me. In your mind all the time. Bringing up this very important subject. Like, really have to focus. This is the only thing you can control.
That's it.
Is what's here. Even though it seems like it controls you sometimes.
See you on the next episode.
And that's why I think writing down affirmations are important, and because the mind goes,
check out our social media
it gets all crazy and you get all the emotions, fear, terror, PTSD, like all this stuff is real, right? So if you can sit down and write down. So first, start with a belief that there can be something better. And then you need to reprogram your brain. You need to brainwash yourself to believe that there's something better for you. So we have to spend our time doing something. And there's nothing more important than rewiring your brain for health, healing, positivity, financial independence, upward and onward. There's nothing more important. Nothing more important. So wherever you are, ask for help right around you, look around you, ask for help. People want to help, number one. Have faith that people want to help. Focus. No matter where you're at, it can get better. And you have to absolutely commit. You have to commit to it. You have to want it. And it's not going to be an easy road, but you have to have a road somewhere. You know, it's like choose your hard type of thing, right? Where you're at, if you're in an abusive relationship, that's hard. I've been there. It's hard. You can really, really be happy. You can come from an abusive and you can really be happy. But it's going to be like bumpy and up, down, and but you don't ever want to go back there. So honestly, where I am right now, I don't even remember. Like I have to go back into my memory banks to all that craziness and horribleness. You know, my mother was hanging around with murderers. I have had multiple suicides in my family, murders in family friends, like craziness, just craziness. You know, that cultish religion, all of that stuff. So I don't even go back to there in my brain. And like, that's like, it's like a bad movie. But anybody in that situation, you can rise above. There's absolutely no doubt, you know, absolutely no doubt. But you need to, you know, focus on healing. Just write down what it is you want. I want to be healed. I want to be financially independent. And then, you know, and then choose to have faith that the universe will lead you, because that is how it works. The universe will lead you out of this, and know that you deserve it. And there's 1,000 resources, but what it comes down to is just choosing, you know, no matter how hard it is. It's like, I know, God, there's something better for me. I know there's something better for me. And I'm going to start looking. You can affirm in your mind, you could say, I see better possibilities for me. I see financial independence for me. I am drawing in financial independence for me. Literally, you just do that. And it is how the universe works. It's the law of the universe, and it works, and it worked for me, and it keeps working for me. And I just can't believe how phenomenal my life is now. But I can believe it, actually. But, you know, I can't believe it because it is. You know, it's just amazing. And it's going to continue.
Risks. It's taking risks. Take a risk.
In that sense, yeah, in a sense. We're choosing, right? Choosing to believe. That's faith.
Yes.
Faith, right? Choosing to believe when you don't see evidence. Yeah. And that's what faith is. That's why the Bible keeps talking about faith, getting rid of fear. That's why the Bible talks about it all the time. Because all you see is fear. You don't see faith when you're in that situation. You don't see it. You're like, I choose faith, even though I don't see anything better, right? You're choosing faith.
And it says, faith without works is dead. So you need to have the faith and also put in the work, so to speak.
Well, I think the work is like the, the affirming and like, praying and, getting that mind, the armor of God, the helmet of, helmet of salvation. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that analogy, right? The helmet of salvation, because there's, the toxic environment is trying to get into our mind, right? But if we have a helmet of strength around our mind, that's it. We can make anything happen. Yes. But we have to protect our mind. We have to stand guard at the door of our mind, not just let anybody say anything.
Yeah, tamper with that thought process. Yeah. Thank you. So, are there any local programs for abuse survivors that can offer business training? Maybe such survivors can join, maybe, I'm not sure whether it's applicable in America, community investment programs or groups to make property ownership more accessible.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any. What I do know is there's Al-Anon, which is a great place to start, right? And so it's a place for people who are related to or connected to people who are abusing alcohol, right? And they're in dysfunctional relationships. So Al-Anon helps the parents, children, wives, all of that. And that I think is a good place to start. And then I would just Google my local, because the things that help me to grow through there's other things available now, and it's geographically specific. There's sometimes the Chamber of Commerce will have business people who will lend out their expertise to people, and they'll help women. And I know of there are of different programs, but I haven't taken advantage of all of them. But there are definitely opportunities. I would just Google them and then start asking around.
Thank you. Actually, think in the UK we have cooperatives. And, some startups help survivors to gain financial literacy, so to speak, and some other organizations. And I know the Salvation Army, apart from helping with food and clothing, I think they give some training as well. So yeah.
We always have our libraries.
Yes.
We have libraries. That's where I went. That's where I started. Because you can have no money, but you can look around and there are going to be books and, yeah.
That's true. That's where you get fantastic resources. When it comes to books, you can get financial books on property, on diverse subjects.
Anything. Yeah. Exactly. I've read over 1,000 books on personal development, spirituality, money, business. And so that's where you go. Yeah.
That's a lot though. Well, yeah.
That's a lot. Sometimes I look at my book, I'm like, could I be that old to have read all these books?
But it's worth it. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. What are your last words of encouragement?
That absolutely know that you can change your life beyond what you would have comprehended. But you need to take control of your life. You need to extricate yourself from toxic people. Do the best that you can. You got to be really hard on yourself and your own weaknesses, and strengthen your weaknesses, heal your weaknesses, and find refuge in positive environments. And absolutely do positive affirmations. I belong to a center for spiritual living, and it just teaches you, if you're going to pray affirmatively. Just choose to have faith. Absolutely choose to have faith that you can rise above anything that you're involved in, and you can literally do a 180. You could not recognize your environment in just a couple of years, depending on how much you focus. You can get yourself to safety quickly, and then you can learn and learn and learn and learn. I'd say my encouragement is to absolutely know that you can rise above. You can rise above, and not just survive and clunk along. No, you really want to live a life of abundance, faith, creativity, joy, spiritual expansion and growth. That's really the goal, I think, and healing the dark past. But it's doable. I say with my very last word, it's like you were given, for whatever reason, a dirty bucket. Your mind is like a dirty bucket full of poisons and toxicities and mud. And then if you keep pouring clean, fresh water and then draining out the dirt, think of your mind like that. Keep pouring fresh, clean water, filtered water, right? Filter the water that's going in your mind and get rid of the dirt and pay attention to what's going on here. When you catch yourself getting, upset, angry, whatever, just keep focusing on what you want by your affirmations, speaking them out loud, and then fill your bucket, fill your bucket, fill your bucket. Once your bucket is filled with clear water, your life will change.
Thank you so much. That is really amazing. So, listeners and viewers, you've heard Ginger Faith. Heal your weaknesses, have faith, and dwell in possibilities. Believe it is possible and be positive about it and go out and do it. On that note, listeners and viewers, we've come to the end of today's show on Rising Above Shadows of Abuse, RAZA. Thank you so much, Ginger, for coming on the show. We really appreciate your heartfelt inspiration and motivation, as well as the way you've educated us in terms of being our best version, being our best self, and what you can do to build generational wealth. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing up this very important subject for people.
You're welcome. So that's it, viewers and listeners. See you on the next episode. Be safe and be positive. And don't forget to check out our social media handles for more videos and reels on this show. Bye for now.